Autumn, 1692. A New England village wakes beneath low clouds and colder winds. Within months, the quiet would fracture into fear. Salem Village was small, pious, and watchful. Its people lived by strict rules, where rumor and righteousness shared the same breath. In a matter of months, nearly 200 people would face accusations. 20 would lose their lives. The count would shock a nation. It began in a single household with strange fits and convulsions among a handful of girls. Their cries set the first spark. Among them were Betty Parris and Abigail Williams. Another figure loomed in whispers, Tituba, an enslaved woman whose words would echo across the village. Was this dark magic at work, or something far more human, fear, envy, and suspicion taking shape as accusation? Reverend Samuel Parris found his daughter and niece convulsing and terrified. The household turned inward, searching for a cause beyond medicine. Physicians could find no physical ailment. In hearts already trained to see the supernatural, the diagnosis slipped toward witchcraft. Spectral evidence emerged, visions of the accused tormenting the afflicted. Invisible shapes and dreams became court testimony. Long-standing feuds and property disputes fed the flames. In a tight community, grudges and fear wore the same face as righteousness. Accusations jumped from household to household. A neighbor named one person, then another. The list lengthened with every whispered name. Trust eroded. Men and women who had worshipped together now eyed one another as potential saboteurs of their souls. A special court of oyer and terminer convened. Tension thickened under gallery beams and the steady gaze of magistrates. Accused stood before judges while girls screamed and pointed. Spectral testimony and forced confessions guided verdicts more than clear proof. Bridget Bishop was the first to be executed in June of 1692. Her hanging marked a grim turn from accusation to death. Giles Corey refused to plead. In response, he was pressed under heavy stones until he died. A brutal refusal turned into martyrdom. Some confessed under pressure. Others clung to innocence. Confessions could spare a body but not a reputation, and often came at great cost. Judges and clergy shaped outcomes. Figures like William Stoughton championed stern justice, convinced they acted on behalf of God and law. Prisons filled, 19 were hanged, and one was pressed to death. The toll left families bereft, and a community shaken. Properties were seized, livelihoods ruined. Accusation brought social death long before a body could be taken from the earth. Doubt grew. Governor William Phips eventually dissolved the court, and the colony began a slow, awkward reckoning with what had happened. Over years, families sought restitution. In 1711, the colony granted some compensation and expressions of remorse, but wounds endured. Scholars have proposed causes from ergot poisoning to social anxiety and economic strain. No single explanation fully accounts for the tragedy. The accused left children and families whose names are still spoken today. Their memory resists a tidy verdict. Salem became shorthand for injustice. The trials haunt literature, law, and the imagination as a warning about the abuse of power. Historians keep debating motive and mechanism. Social strain, religious fervor, and personal vendettas all played parts in a complex story. Today, memorials and museums preserve names and testimonies, urging visitors to remember more than the horror, to remember the people. The trials expose how fear becomes law when institutions surrender skepticism for certainty. It is a caution about crowd thinking and authority unchecked. Salem's story resists easy closure. It is history, horror, and human failing, woven together across 3 centuries of memory. Were the witches real, or were we witnessing mass hysteria? The question lingers, a mirror held up to any era when fear outpaces evidence.